really helps calm the nerves. I've done so many clinics by now, you'd think I'd know how to do one. And you'd also think that I wouldn't be nervous, but I don't know. It keeps the edge on, I guess. Drink less coffee. If I did this every day, I probably wouldn't be prone to liver cancer. I'd have a heart attack, you know. Thank you all for coming, and I'm very glad to be here again at the Pasic convention. I performed in Los Angeles in 1985, and I'm really, really honored and thrilled to be asked to appear again here in San Antonio. This is a great city. I haven't really seen much of it, but just looking around as we drove, and it's really cozy and warm. It's a really warm feeling here. And I know that you guys have been exposed to all the great drummers that aren't busy working, that are here and made the time to be here. And you've seen a lot of great musicians, and I'm really thankful that you came to my little thing here. I really didn't come out here with anything planned to play. I just tried to play and make things up as I went along and try to make some kind of sense out of it instead of playing a thematic thing that repeated itself. You know. In other words, basically I made noise instead of music, okay? What can I tell you? But I just tried to play a little variety of things to maybe get the gray matter going, and if you had any questions or anything that you might want to talk about, you know, please feel free to ask at this time. I try to end with a little second line thing and try to play a little lighter kind of swing, some rock and roll, and some polyrhythmic things, a little bit of that. Most of the polyrhythmic things that I do are linear anyway, so I really haven't gotten into the harmonic polyrhythmic concept all that much. I know it's getting a little popular now, but I'll try to do the best I can to answer any of your questions, and maybe we can get the ball rolling here a little bit. So, yeah. How do I go about practicing a metric modulation? To tell you the truth, the way that I arrived at most of that stuff was kind of on the gig. Like, well, let me just backtrack a little bit. You know, when I was younger, I played with metronomes, but I didn't have like a click track that was loud enough so that when I played my drum set I'd be able to hear it, you know, and I could never play with the light, you know, it always kind of bothered me. I don't know, it just irked me every time I saw that little thing flashing. I could never, and I'd be trying to read the music and I'd see this light and you know, I didn't know where to look. But, so, you know, therefore, like, my experience with click tracks and all that stuff came kind of like on the job. I mean, I had to like, yeah, I mean, as soon as I started working in the studios, it was like, here's this click, and you know, I kind of had to adapt. And as far as like learning how to play ahead and behind and all that was on the job too. But it was interesting because I didn't sit at home and just practice trying to put the backbeat just a little behind and the bass drum dead center and the hi-hat a little ahead to create some kind of tension. I did it from playing with different bass players. Like I played with Abraham Arborio, and he really taught me a lot about playing, like where to put the time, you know. And so instead of just me doing it myself, I was like listening to him do it and playing with him and reacting to him, who was like, he totally embraced me. It's like when you learn from somebody like that, he just takes you in his arms and just weans you off of it, you know, he just takes you under his wing. And he's really, when he plays the beat, it's like 100 degrees to 300 degrees. It just expands and gets, so that was real valuable for me. And getting to the metric modulation thing, the reason I backtracked was to give you an idea that a lot of the stuff came about, including this metric modulation business, just from kind of trying it on the job. Like I was playing in a club in Encino 3 or 4 nights a week, and I just started like during people's solos or at the end of tunes, I would just start doing things. And, you know, just kind of, well, let's see what this sounds like, right then and there. So it was just something that I kind of stumbled on that way, and that's the only way that I really practiced it. I didn't practice, oh, well, let's see where this subdivision goes if I go there, you know. But in terms of learning how they work, you know, I would suggest there's just repertoire that is written that utilizes that, and that you will be able to see it written, like quarter note equals dotted quarter note. And when you play it, even if it's just on a snare drum, and you learn it, you right away your mind has to shift gears. So, you know, you can do that on a drum set as well. You know, just you're playing a groove and it just turns into something else, you know. And that's the best way I think to do it, you know. And just try making up your own little things and see where they go, you know. Or tape yourself on a gig, and if something happens, you can analyze it later and make something more out of it, you know. I have Jacob, hardly as you will have when you get to be my age. Was like, and Gary will tell you himself, was that I took his stuff only to a certain extent, and the rest of it was just pretty much improvising, you know. Like the most intellectualizing that I've done on a drum kit was figuring out what rhythms represent. In other words, like if I learned what a particular rhythm was, you know, like, you know, any kind of rhythm, you know, like nines or whatever, I would figure, okay, that's what it is. And when I would do them on a drum set, I would just pick and choose wherever I wanted them to go and just make beats out of them, or you know, like Gary would suggest, it's like taking a pattern, you know, like let's say fives, for example, you know. If you have the pattern of a 5-stroke roll, you know. You know, and breaking up doubles, taking the first stroke of the doubles, putting them on a tom-tom. You know, and doing things like that. So you could take like linear means just what it is, that it's non-harmonic, meaning that you're not hitting like 2 notes at one time, you know. You know, like a mixture of like take a 5 and a 7, you know. And then you're gonna make part of it harmonic and part of it linear, you know. You know, so it's just your imagination. You know? So what I would do is I would take, and the only reason that I would play, like everything that I would think of would be for a specific sound, you know. You know, all those kind of licks would be because they sounded hip. You know, not because it was a great intellectual exercise or because it was, well, let's try this and see what it does. I never did it for that reason, you know. Split your hands, you know. I just tried to do it for the sound of it, and I only intellectualized it to a certain degree. I mean, there are a lot of Gary's students who know way more about that than I do. Jonathan, for example. I mean, this guy, Jonathan Hoover, right here, he knows Gary stuff inside and out. So you should really ask him about the linear stuff, you know. But that's how I approached it, you know. You know, I would just take up the fill, you know. Just practice different things for however they sound, you know. And I realized that like if I took 7 notes like that, I'm just trying to reduce it to a simple level, you know, like when I was with Frank, if I was playing a groove, like instead of playing like, somehow it sounded fatter, but it's a little different than. with a 5-stroke roll, and it kind of prepares you, fattens the beginning of it, and the whole fill is a little fatter than 8 notes, you know. You know, so I practice things like that, and or with mixing it up with the bass drum, you know. And it just worked for me. So that's how I worked on the linear thing. I mean, but I did, because like some of Gary's stuff also was actually awkward for me. So I would like stray away from it. And it's funny because me and Steve Smith were taking lessons at the same time from Gary. And when we would take those patterns, like going up the drums, things like that were really awkward. And I'd see Steve practicing, and I'd be trying to practice. And, you know, how do you do that? You know, it's like, it was hard for me. I just kind of forget that, you know. I just, you know, my arm didn't want to go that way, so I just forget, I'll go this way, you know. Practice. Sorry, oh wait, no, okay, wait. Practice getting back up the drums, you know. Somehow doing just that motion was awkward, like playing patterns, you know. So I don't know, you know. So I just made up my own things that were, I was lazy, you know. I used a lot of doubles too. I was used because I was, you know, I was just too lazy to, honestly, I was lazy and I didn't want to, you know, too much physical motion. I didn't want to make the sticks do the work, you know. So I didn't want to go in any awkward motions where I had to expend too much energy. And even now, you know, it's like the same thing, you know. I try to set up my stuff as close as I can, and so I don't have to reach too far. Getting old. Yes. And so instead of playing, I just play. Just replacing 2 notes with 2 kick drums, or however you want to do it. Any combination you want, you know. You could just arbitrary, you know. Mix and match. Yes?
Yeah, can you explain a little bit of the time displacement, like over a 4-bar phrase?
A little bit of time displacement. Yeah, sure. Over a 4-bar phrase. Sure. So, time displacement or just to always sound like at least there's some kind of a beat going on. And so I usually mix it up and just superimpose rhythms, you know, the things that I can superimpose, you know. You can get out of the 16th note thing too. You know, instead of well, this is always happening, you know. Play any kind of reggae or whatever. So the easiest way is to just subdivide 16th notes using that rhythmic beat. You know, or however you want to that's the best way is to, and you know, you use one until you get comfortable with it, you know. Just experiment, play around, you know, with different subdivisions. It's subdivided 4/4 and 3/16. And I'm going to play on that for a little while, and I'm going to say top of the day.